Hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon from DevTactic. Today I will show you how to get posts from the WordPress REST API, and therefore we will create a new AngularJS app. So I will use Yeoman, if you know this tool, to create my app. It's really cool to have an app running in, well, minutes. So if you have not installed it, check out my blog and you will find it. So go ahead if you have installed it and run yo Angular, the name of your project. So there will be a few questions. I don't want to use gulp now, no, yes, bootstrap please. Just leave everything to default and create this stuff. Alright, so meanwhile we can check out what we also need. So you need obviously a WordPress blog, and also you need to install the WordPress REST API plugin, because currently the engine is not in the core of WordPress, but this is no problem, just install it on your blog. And I have a blog running, which is my blog, on localhost, but well, you can have it running wherever you like to. So just make sure to have this plugin installed. Alright, let's get back and let's wait until it's finished. Alright, so once it's done, you can run grunt serve and Yeoman will have our app up and running. Hello, hello. Alright, so this is our starting point, and we also want to have okay, so we're already in that directory and we want to install another Boa component called Angular loading bar. So this will display a pretty loading bar at the top of our page, because those requests can take some time. If you grab a lot of tweets, you will see why, and it's really good to have some indication what is going on inside your app at that point. Alright, we go to our code and we need to go to our scripts and app.js to load our Angular loading bar. It should automatically be inside our index, because Grunt will have a task for adding it. If you're not using Yeoman, you will have to do it on your own. Alright, let's start with a little factory, and again I use Yeoman and call yo Angular factory and call it WP factory. So this will create a new factory, and let's see, it should be inside our services, and there it is. If you're not using Yeoman, again, you have to do it on your own. But for now, remove, well, let's remove almost anything here. And alright, we don't, okay, we need this. So first of all, this factory will make HTTP requests and also do asynchronous tasks, so include those two dependencies. What we need as well is a base URL, and for me this is localhost 8888, and this is your WordPress instance. Wherever you have running this, insert your credentials. And this is followed by WP JSON, again WordPress, and v2, because this is already the second version of the REST API. Also make sure, if you are looking for help for this REST API, make sure to look for version 2 if you're using this article. Alright. So we want to get our posts, and we also want to limit how many posts we get. So let's create a function getPosts with a number. And also at the end, let's wait for it to recover, and we can go to our getPosts function meanwhile. So we want to return an HTTP request, and we will make a GET request to our base URL plus posts and add the query parameter per page, which is the number we pass. So in the then block, we will call either handle success or handle error, because, well, one of those two cases will be there. So obviously we need two functions down here: handle success with the response, and also handle error with the response. So in the success case, we can just return response data, and in the error case, we should check if our response data is no Angular object. Or if there's no response data message. So in this case, something gone wrong, and we need to reject our promise. But if everything's fine here as well, we can still oh no. Now obviously we are already in the error blocks, so we should never fulfill our promise here, so we just reject it with response data message. So our checks are just to see if this message is present inside the object. I'm still not sure what's wrong here. I think my syntax is completely fine. No, I don't need this. Whatever. Okay. So let's get back to our function. So we have the get posts, and this will give us a number of posts and return a promise. The second function we need, we can actually copy this because they're quite similar. No, we want to copy this. This is get media data for ID. And we need this function because inside the JSON we get from get posts, there will be just a media ID for the image or the featured image of a post. And we need to make a call to the server again, to our WordPress REST API, and say, this is our media ID, please give us the link to the media. And this is why, come on, we make a request to media plus ID. And additionally, at this point, I will insert ignore loading bar true. So this is for our loading bar, because we will get posts which will take quite a time, and we will display this loading bar in that case, but we don't want to also show the loading bar if we get our media. You can obviously leave this out if you're not using this loading bar anyway, but for now, make sure to put our function in the return of our factory, and we're done with our factory. So you could include all kinds of functions to make other requests, but for us those two are just fine. So I'm using Yeoman, and I will go to the main.js. If you're not using Yeoman, you might have to create a controller at this point. But our controllers are already assigned to a view, which is the main view we have seen, and this is why I just use this controller. So either way, go to your controller and add two dependencies, scope and our factory. First of all, we have two empty objects. One is an array and the other one just an object holding a key value pair later on. So what we're gonna do is we will call our WordPress factory and say get posts. Let's say we want to have 5, and then we hopefully get a successful response, and we can just assign this response to our scope.posts. I already said that there's only a media ID inside this response, so this is why we need to also go over each of those objects inside the JSON, and with each of them we will call another function which will set the URL for image, and this function needs the index of this object and also the media ID, which is value or response.featured image. Alright. So we also want to handle the error case, and in that case we just log our error out. Hopefully this won't happen. Alright, so we need our scope function. So create set URL for image, and this function will take the index and the ID of a media object, and inside again we can just use our WordPress factory and call get media data for ID, which is our ID, and in the completion block call scope images, which is our images object, and at the position, I hope you remember, of the index we will set the response.source URL. So you can take a look at the response of the JSON REST API, and this is exactly where you find the URL. Okay, by now we have the data, but we have no view to display it. So currently our app still looks like this, and I also opened a tab where I grabbed the data from my tweet. So this is the data. You can make it look a bit cooler. So let's see how we can make it cooler right now. And we open our main HTML, remove everything. So this should update this page. Alright, this is not available, thanks. Okay, we call grunt surf, and hopefully, yep, our page is empty, and you already see the loading bar at the top grabbing our tweet data, but we don't display it. So let's go back to our HTML and craft a little view. So I used some Bootstrap classes, and I recommend you include Bootstrap as well. This is the easiest way to get a cool looking interface. And we will use a media list because we will have some text and media, which is our images. Alright, the important part here is that we iterate over our posts array. So ng repeat, come on, post in posts. And for every post, we can now create a little media card. So to the left, we will have our image. And first of all, we want to wrap it in a link, so everyone who clicks on that image will get taken to this. And therefore we use post.link, pretty straightforward REST API. Additionally, we will now display the image and use ng source. And now the magic comes. We are happy to use our images object at the position of the current index of this object. Additionally, I add a media object class and also a bit of styling. So now it's not that big. Sorry. Alright, this is our link and the div is also ready. Now we want to make a media body which will hold the title and our excerpt. Alright, so inside the body again we want to make this clickable, so I just copy this. Yeah, whatever, add a target if you like to. And now we craft our header, which is media heading, and this will just be post.title.rendered. So this is the title you also see on your posts. You can inspect the title object if you want, or just trust me, this is correct. Now finally there's one thing. If we want to display the excerpt, there might be HTML tags included, and that's why we use ng-bind HTML, so we don't end up with HTML tags. So use excerpt.rendered and just close the div. So otherwise we would have some HTML tags and we don't want that. Now let's take a look what's happening. Oh, it's already loading, and there we go. So these are the posts from my blog, you might know them. And here are the images scaled a little bit smaller. We have the heading and we have the excerpt. Now if you click on this, you're obviously taken to the correct location on my localhost instance, and if you go back, they're still there. But if you reload, you see they take quite a long time, and these are only 5 posts. So okay, it's okay for now, but if you have like 20, 50, a few hundred posts on your blog, you might have a real problem. So if you plan to use this inside a real application, make sure to have some logic for handling this long loading. I hope you liked this video. In case you do, please subscribe to my channel and see you on my blog. Leave a comment, and thanks for listening.